Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. It's another innovator interview, and today we're very pleased to be joined by Jono Wylie, who's the head of sustainability at RightWater, which is a plastic-free, canned, sparkling and still water company based in California. And they use absolutely no plastic. They use completely recycled materials, and we wanted to talk with Jono about how and why the company is operating the way it is and how it's going. But first, Jono, I want to ask, since we ask a lot of folks who come on the air, what got you involved in sustainability, and why is working for a water company the right, expression of your interests as a career?
Hi, Mitch. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me, more and more, and the friends that I speak to as well, I think getting involved in sustainable businesses is becoming less of a kind of a niche decision or an expression of anything particularly personal. It's kind of just the assumption to me. I feel that working for a company that is contributing to pollution, or working for a company that is, contributing to, a decrease in quality in our environment is just not something that I can look my kids in the eye and tell them that I'm doing. So I feel that sustainability is now less of a statement to make and more of just the way that everybody should be doing business.
And why RightWater at this point in your career? What drew you to them?
Yeah, so RightWater actually has a very an interesting backstory. So just over a decade ago, my partner founded the company and got into selling water products to people predominantly in the West, and had a very specific reason for doing that. And I've actually been involved in that for about 5 or 6 years in this side of the mission. Namely, that was to bring clean drinking water to people around the world, predominantly in India and a few African countries, but really anywhere where we could find them, who suffered from dirty water and the disease that follows from that. The clean drinking water crisis is a major problem. Over 800 million people don't have access to it. There are half of the world's hospital beds have somebody in them because of dirty water, and it kills more people every year. Yeah, it kills more people every year than every act of war and terror combined. It is just a huge blight on humanity right now. And interestingly, it has a uniquely simple solution. Unlike infectious diseases or cancers or kind of major humanitarian problems that we're the smartest people in the world are trying to crack, the clean drinking water crisis is a very, very simple problem to solve. You've got to get clean water from A to person at B, and you've got to do that with plumbing on a grand scale. And that is something that we know how to do. It just takes money.
You're contributing. Sorry, go ahead. Part of every sale goes to the drop for drop water campaigns, and that's a great way for folks to know that their money is being put to work. Tell us about a couple of the projects that you all have funded through that.
Yeah. So essentially, we decided that what better way to help raise funds for that than to start a company that was going to be donating through sale of product. And so, exactly as you said, every time that we sold at one point bottle of RightWater, and I can get into a little bit more, but kind of transitioning away from plastic and towards aluminum cans, which is what we're now offering, we donate to clean drinking water projects through an NGO that we also run called Drop for Drop. We're actually working on some fascinating projects right now. I just had a text conversation with one of the guys who's on the ground working on creating an elephant-proof clean water source for a community. They had a problem with stampeding elephants being able to sniff out clean water from miles away. And every time that they would find clean water in the ground, an elephant would come by and trash it. And so we had to work on a very cheap but very sustainable engineering solution to that problem to bury a clean water faucet underground. So, we're in South Sudan, some really inaccessible places doing amazing work, and it's an honor to have a product which funds it.
Well, that's great. Now let's talk about RightWater. Now, the company has made a transition from bottled to completely plastic-free aluminum cans as your packaging. You've also eliminated BPA from the liner on the inside, and you're not using any plastic in the production or shipping as well. So how did this get started? What's the process you've been going through to remove everything that is earth unfriendly, and how is the business going as a result?
Yeah, so long story short, it was trickier than we thought. And the only way we've been able to do it is to not work with any third-party manufacturers, and we actually set up our own factory and do our own manufacturing ourselves right here in California. To rewind a little bit from there, our UK business over in the UK was talking with Glastonbury Music Festival about supplying that festival with our water in order to raise funds for Drop for Drop. And we were told, we would love to have your bottles of water. We love the mission that you guys have, but we're shooting for the first plastic-free festival in 2019. And if you want to supply us, you've got to put your water in aluminum cans. And at the time, we sort of were a little confused, didn't necessarily know why that was better, and asked them. And they said to us, we'll speak to Greenpeace. Greenpeace are our partners, and Greenpeace have been asking us to find canned spring water companies to supply us. So we took a meeting with some of the directors at Greenpeace, who are an incredible organization, you know, people who really have dedicated their lives to sustainability. And they explained to us the extreme harm of plastic. This was a couple of years ago, and I think now all of us understand that. And also the environmental benefits of recycled aluminum. I'd love to talk more specifically about why aluminum is better, but essentially they said we've been lobbying big plastic water bottle companies for years to switch to cans, and nobody's been brave enough to do it because they've got so much invested in plastic. If you will be the first one to do it, we will happily support you. And so we took the plunge, we moved away from plastic, and business is going well. You know, it's a start and it's small, and we only launched in the US a few months ago, but we're already seeing a very positive return from progressive customers who want to do the right thing.
Well, let's talk a little about the aluminum, because that is an important source of energy emissions in manufacturing. And you, by using recycled aluminum, are cutting the power involved in making a new can substantially. So how much energy are you saving per can? And do you have any sense of how much energy you have saved all up as you've moved from plastic to aluminum cans?
Yeah. So, you know, as I said, we've just started. We've been in business a couple months. So I think in terms of an all-in stat on the amount of energy saved, it's a little bit too early to tell right now. What we do know is that it takes upwards of 5, sometimes even 10 million joules of energy to make a single plastic bottle. And whilst the plastic bottle is a major problem in terms of sustainability, there's also the water that goes into producing that plastic bottle. 95 times more water is used to make the bottle than the water that you drink inside it. It's an extraordinary footprint of every kind of resource in order to get that product in your hand that you drink for a couple minutes and throw it in the trash or the recycling. Compare that to aluminum cans, which are overwhelmingly recycled in the US. Recycling rates of plastic bottles are about 9%, and recycling rates of aluminum cans are between 60 to 70%. And often even when they end up in the trash, they end up in recycling anyway because they're so valuable. Those aluminum cans that are discarded find their way to recycling more often than not because they save people money to recycle them.
And they're easy to sort, and on average, it takes about 6 weeks for a can to go from waste back to a product. So it's an extremely efficient system, one I think we can use as a model all across the industry.
And you know, it's not new, which is the funny thing. Plastic bottled water is a relatively new invention, and you know, it's funny when I speak with my grandparents and say, working in this innovative field, I'm bringing aluminum cans of water to market instead of plastic. There's sort of a wry smile that says, this isn't the world's biggest innovation. This has been around. Plastic bottles, drinks is a kind of a blip of maybe 1 or 2 generations, which I think we're going to look back on with a huge amount of regret. And we're just hoping to pave the way forward away from plastic and towards more sustainable packaging.
Now, you've also, in addition to getting rid of the bottles and the microplastics that end up in the water as a result of that, you've abandoned BPA, bisphenol A, that is used as a liner for most aluminum cans. What did you opt for instead, and how does it perform relative to the BPA as a preservative?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's actually that question is one which when I speak with people about the product, most of the time, people say, "Oh, that sounds amazing. Recycled aluminum cans of water, that sounds amazing." And you'll usually get one or two people who have seen a kind of sinister-looking video on Facebook or YouTube that shows a kind of hidden plastic liner of aluminum cans. And they're sort of looking at me and say, "Really? You've got rid of all the plastic?" Yes, we have got rid of all the plastic. Most aluminum cans right now available for sale in the US contain, exactly as you said, essentially an epoxy quasi-plastic liner, which contains BPA. It's utterly insane that we would use BPA in food production. The entire nation of France has outlawed it. It acts in the body the same way as estrogen, and it's being used in our food products. Now, the plastics industry would have you believe certain things about the amount that's in it and all this sort of thing, but we just really feel, consumers shouldn't have to wait until it's proved to be bad to get rid of it. Manufacturers should have to prove that something's good before they use it. And so we have just opted to line the inside of our aluminum cans with a water-based resin, which is free of BPA, BPS, and BPH. It performs the duty that it needs to, which is to protect the aluminum and the water from kind of interacting and giving it that aluminum metal taste, but without any of the health problems that go along with it. It's required, I think, in California. The other 49 states say you can put whatever the hell you want in it, and we're just deciding to make the decision that in every state in the US, you will never buy a can of RightWater that has BPA.
Well, I think that letting consumers make that choice is going to help get the other 49 to catch up, but California certainly got the right idea. Now, you've gone beyond the plastic bottle and the BPA liner. You're not using any plastic in your manufacturing, including wrapping the pallets. You're using compostable materials. Tell us, how did you do that? How did you get rid of all that plastic that people are used to seeing wrapped around the products they get, as well as containing the water that they buy?
Yeah. I might get in trouble with my boss for the answer because we want to make it seem like it's the most complex solution ever. It's really not that hard. We spent an additional couple hours when we were sourcing our packaging materials trying to find things that were plastic-free anywhere. Because for us, if you're launching a bottled water in the market that claims to be plastic-free, it should be plastic-free. And every time a new plastic-free water brand comes up, we order a case to the office. And every time, without fail, whether it's plastic tape or plastic shrink wrap or plastic bubble wrap, there is some single-use plastic there. Those aluminum bottles that you start to see more and more of, they contain plastic. They've got a little plastic disc inside the lid that's used to make an airtight seal. Right. It really is everywhere, and ours is currently the only spring water brand available that is totally plastic-free. We've got recycled cardboard boxes, which again can be purchased from most box manufacturers around the US. We use paper tape with a cornstarch-based adhesive. That was a little trickier to find, but we were very, very pleased to do so when we did. We use a paper label that has a soy-based ink. And then when we stack them on our pallets, we use, exactly as you said, a compostable material which acts like plastic, but in a way that can be placed into not only composting facilities, but also into landfill. And within a matter of weeks, or perhaps 2 to 3 months max, depending on the aerobic conditions, will have fully broken down into organic materials.
So you're using a bioplastic like PLA?
It's not PLA. Terribly embarrassed. I've temporarily forgotten the name of the compound. It's That's not PLA. It's a trademark name, like a brand name for the plastic, the bioplastic that it uses.
Okay, great. Well, no worries. There's a lot to remember. Now, what does a case of water cost? And talk a little about what share of that is going directly to drop for drop.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at the moment we sell for a similar cost to quote unquote premium water brands. I've been advised to not share brand names, but you know who they are. The brands that you see on red carpets and the brands that you see kind of in the hands of celebrities. Right. And our product sells at the moment for a similar cost to those and has a far superior environmental footprint. You can either purchase a case on the website, www.drinkrightwater.com, and that'll be delivered to your door with free shipping. or more and more, we're having businesses like hotels and members clubs purchase from us wholesale. We deliver anywhere in the US to any customer who wants, a bulk amount of a plastic-free water. And yeah, with our profits, at the end of each month, we have a meeting with our board and with the NGOs where we go through all of our numbers for the month and donate to Drop for Drop. The amount fluctuates depending on how low we manage to get our costs that month. But it is a market-leading amount that we end up donating, and it's also a market-leading low cost to make the well. So Drop for Drop can bring a clean water well for the lowest cost anywhere in the world.
So that's interesting. So you are selling a premium product, but you're not charging a sustainability premium. You're simply delivering a great water in an environmentally friendly way. That's a different way to frame this question. A lot of people say, well, is it worth the extra money for the sustainability? But you're just taking for granted that it has to be sustainable.
Yeah, and I think that ties into the first answer, Mitch. I feel, this was not a brand whose genesis was about saving the world, or certainly not about saving the environment. It is a brand that believes in doing the right thing for people who don't have clean drinking water, and it is a brand that feels, even though our origins was as a plastic bottled water company, we feel that even we have a responsibility to do the right thing environmentally speaking. It's untenable for companies that produce wasteful products when the consensus is that it's bad for marine life and bad for the ecosystem. It's untenable to continue doing that. So I think you're exactly right. And what I want to see is for more and more companies who wouldn't necessarily call themselves eco warriors making simple decisions to just reduce their waste.
And as you said, it took a couple of extra hours to come up with most of the innovations you were talking about, so it's certainly worth the time. One more question about the water. Where's it sourced from, and what does the water taste like?
Oh, it tastes incredible. It's all I drink anymore, much to my wife's entertainment. She's always poking fun at me that it's the one thing I want to pack in the car when we're going out for the day. We source it from a spring. We have a couple of different spring options here in California that we bring to our Californian plant where we make the cans themselves. The reason for having a couple is that, if there is a wildfire or a natural disaster in any one area, we don't want to be, taking water from a community that needs it more than us. Right. So it allows us to be a little nimble and a little flexible to say, you guys have more of a need, we'll go to another spring that has a surplus this week. And spring water tastes incredible. There is a high amount of magnesium, zero nitrates. The mineral profile is incredible. We filter it with a minimum filtration to get any contaminants out, and then put it in the can. So it really is water as nature intended.
And each case comes with a couple of reusable aluminum straws. That's a nice touch too. Well thought out.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it looks pretty classy with a straw inside the can.
Now, you can get this at RightWater.com. It's one big, long word, folks. And apparently at hotels and certain membership organizations are buying it as well. So I guess if I'm interested in getting RightWater, go online and buy it or make a request at my gym. It sounds like are the best two ways to get that today. Yeah,
exactly. And we have a little contact form on the website, and we would love to hear from your listeners. So if anyone has any questions about the product, or if anyone would like to know how to get the product in larger numbers to their home or to their business or to their favorite grocery store, please don't hesitate to reach out on the website. I will be able to personally answer each of those requests, and we can kind of grow this together and move away from plastic together.
Well, that'd be a great move. So we've been talking with Jono Wylie, who is the head of sustainability for RightWater, which is at drinkrightwater.com. Jono, thanks for joining us today on Sustainability in Your Ear.
Thanks so much, Mitch. I appreciate your time.
Well, folks, we'll be back with another innovator interview soon. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. This is Earth911, and we look forward to talking again soon.